Today's plan is, today half a day we will have session by Madam Sonia Garcha. She's from Mumbai and she heads something called as Bebras. Only few of you know what Bebras is. Bebras is a competition that is held in India once a year. Actually it is held all over the world. It's a challenge on, there are problems, there are word problems on computational thinking. And this competition we had held in this November, December, right? So, and 4 of our own kids got some awards at national level. And these awards were given out recently in Mapsa when there was this launch of elective curriculum equipment, right? That time we gave these awards to these 4 kids. They did very well there in that competition. These word problems are similar to what you would see typically coming later on in child's life, like IIT and all, when they answer those problems, right? Something similar to that. So we will see. Actually, she will conduct a session for us and she will join at 10 o'clock online on Zoom with us. And she will go do a walkthrough on what Bebras is and what kind of problems these are. And she has done it in a very interesting way. It's going to be a treasure hunt. I will not tell much because there's a little suspense in the whole way she will do it. But it's very exciting the way she has done it. It's a very big platform. Let me actually, she sent me something formal, so I will read it out. Okay, so Sonia leads creation and implementation of CS Pathshala curriculum and pedagogy. CS Pathshala is something like our curriculum actually. It's there in around 600 schools in India. They have created a whole curriculum. It is more based on coding. Okay, so the whole curriculum is there and she's part of the core committee. She has made significant contributions to strategy development. CS Pathshala curriculum has been implemented in over 600 schools in AP and Maharashtra. She led teams that organized the first 4 editions of CTIS, Computational Thinking in Schools. This is an annual conference which is held in India. And she's part of the committee. They have actually invited papers from us. Actually, I was requesting Mayur also to write a paper. So you can submit papers to this teachers' conference. It's basically a conference of teachers. School teachers who implement Bebras in their schools. Now Bebras is an international student competition organized over 70 countries. Every country has their own version of Bebras, designed to get students all over the world excited about computing. The challenge is a great way to learn about computational thinking and problem solving skills, and it is free. Okay. Bebras challenges are made of short problems called as Bebras tasks. The tasks are fun, engaging and based on problems that computer scientists enjoy solving. The tasks require logical thinking and can be solved without prior knowledge of computational thinking. The aim is to solve as many as you can in the allotted time. Okay. It is organized by ACM India in India, and the goal is to make every child in India learn computational thinking. That's what Bebras is. Now, that's what she's going to explain to us in the next 2 hours or so, what Bebras tasks are, and actually we will solve them. Okay, that's the plan for today. Let me see if she has joined. We have Madam Sonia joining us from Pune, as I already introduced to you. So I'll hand it over to her. Teacher, Madam Sonia, these are all the computer teachers from Goa. There are 50 of them from all over the schools in Goa. They're all the Goa State Board, and they teach computers in the schools. And they have been part of this 3-week training program. This is the 2nd week. And today we have Bebras, and over to you.
Yeah, good morning, Saish, and good morning to all the teachers. And first and foremost, I would like to thank Saish and the team because, we started this journey of these conversations of conducting Bebras, giving students in Goa an opportunity to participate, right? And obviously, I would have loved to be there in person to take the session, but maybe next time. Now, coming to today's session, we will be talking about computational thinking and the Bebras challenge. And I would like to start with what happened, right, when we had this whole setup, right? I had checked my laptop and Saish told me in the morning that, can you set up the Zoom link? And all of that was done, right? Now, even after we were all set with all this, first I could not hear your audio.
We can
and
hear
then, sorry?
We can hear you.
No, No. What I'm trying to say is, first I could not hear your audio, and then you could not hear mine. So, what did Saish do? This is problem solving, right? But we systematically solved it. I solved it on my end, and Saish solved it on your end. And in the meanwhile, he also effectively used the time to give you a chai break, right? So, what I'm trying to drive at is computational thinking is not something that we just teach in the classroom. It is something that all of us face every single day of our lives. Correct? There's nothing new in that. So I'll tell you another thing that if Saish and I would not have followed some sort of systematic approach, we would be struggling trying to find the fault, right? But also another thing that now we are having this online meeting way after COVID, right? So there has been patterns of these sort of problems that we have faced earlier. So we rethink on that, identify, oh, that is how this was a similar problem that I had. This is what worked, and let me try and use the existing knowledge that I have. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it is as simple as all this. There is nothing very new, or there is nothing which is very special that I will cover. But the whole idea of CS Pathshala and computational thinking is to help everybody develop a systematic approach to problem solving. So I have a small presentation. So I shall share it, and then you can tell me if it's visible. Can you see it?
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So this is just before COVID, okay? I was in Andhra Pradesh with the Andhra Pradesh Social Welfare School teachers, and they are from 13 districts in Andhra Pradesh being such a big state. So these were the master trainers, and this is an activity that I was taking in graph paths. Okay? So in CS Pathshala, we do a lot of these activities which are unplugged, that is teaching computing without the use of computers. Okay? So the whole idea is to prepare students for the digital age. That is exactly what all of you are also working towards. So I will give you just a very simple puzzle to solve. Okay, so this is the flower bed, and the gardener planted flowers in 3 rows, and he has planted 4 flowers in each row, and we have been told that in each row the white flower should be closer to the fence than the blue flower. Now the question is, which rows are planted according to the instructions? A is only 1, B is 1 and 2, C is 1 and 3, and D is all.
1 and
Can anybody tell me?
3. 1 and 3.
Anybody?
Option C.
C.
Option D.
Anybody else?
Option D.
1 and 3.
1 and 3. C. 1 and 3.
Everybody says C? I can't hear you very clearly. Everybody says C?
Yes. C.
Yes? Okay. So, but why C? Why not A? Can anybody come close to the mic and tell me why not A or why not B? Anybody who said C? Let's make the session as interactive as possible.
You can use the mic.
You can use the mic and tell me why do you think it's C?
Because it is closer to the fence.
Check.
Because 1 and 3, the white flower is closer to the fence than the blue flower. Means blue
I
flower.
can't hear you very clearly. Huh?
Hello.
Much loudly.
In 1 and 3, the blue flower is. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
The white flower is closer to the fence than the blue flower, and in second one, the blue flower is closer to the fence than the white flower.
Huh.
So both the condition matches in 1 and 3 only.
Correct, absolutely right. So exactly what Sir said, that the correct answer is C, 1 and 3, because when you examine it row by row, and that is exactly what Sir did, right? He looked at the first row, he looked at the second row, and he looked at the third row. So even when you were solving this task, you adopted a systematic approach to solve it, right? You didn't just randomly say, okay, it is C and it is 1 and 3. So what you actually solved just now was a Debris task, but I will come back to that later. But I only wanted to bring a point across that solving the Debris task does not require any prerequisite knowledge of computational thinking. Basically, the skill that you used was logical reasoning, right? Yes, in it, this is how the flowers are placed, and this is how I can solve it. And please feel free to stop me in case you have any questions, you want to know more about anything, okay? Now, this is typically, ICT in schools. Now, in your case, obviously, it has already changed because in Goa, they have been instrumental in, bringing about change in programming. But this is how generally ICT in schools is taught, right? And these are very, very typical questions that are asked in an Olympiad. And believe me that when I did computer science also, we were taught the history of computers. We had to know the years. So it was all historical information. And another problem is that programming is not as a disconnected activity. It is not connected to algorithmic thinking or problem solving and all of that. And maybe Saish can help you with this question, right? That now when you are doing programming, right, you're not saying that in 4th standard you will do logo, then in 5th standard you will do basic, and then in 6th standard you say no, now they have to know HTML, then 7th standard there will be something else, Python, and then, So what ends up by when we start doing all that children actually only learn some syntax of a programming language. They don't really learn programming. So the whole objective of CS Pathshala is that we bring science into computing, and I think the approach that Saish and everybody is using in Goa is also very similar. That what you are trying to do is equip teachers with the skills so that children actually learn programming, not just a programming language. And what it enables is that we prepare children for the digital age, right? We don't even know what will happen since you are teaching 5th to 10th standard, right? After 3 years or 4 years, we don't even know what will happen. And okay, this is a slide that every time we put it also, this also dynamically changes, right? So there is a rapid pace of change. Now, if you look at the future, right, we being teachers, we are preparing children for the future. So every subject will have computation. So the whole idea is how do we prepare them for this future. Now, this is a slide more so that you also understand that when you look at the Future of Jobs 2020 report by the World Economic Forum, what do they say? By top skills required by 2023 is critical thinking and analysis and complex problem solving. So basically what they want us to do is that equip the children with problem solving skills. Now if you look at NEP 2020, that also, and just to let you know that ACM India has been instrumental in introducing computational thinking as part of NEP 2020, and 5 or 6 of us are also writing up a draft position paper for the country. So once that is published, we'll share that. But I'll tell you what our fear is. That all of this can lead to new subjects like AI and machine learning without building the conceptual basis of algorithms, right? It's very easy to do that today. Now, I already spoke about the plethora of programming languages as in you teaching a plethora of programming languages exactly like saying, Sonia, you learn Marathi in the 4th, then I'll teach you Spanish, then I will teach you German, then I'll teach you French. At the end of the day, I can just say good morning and hello in those languages. I don't really know a language, right? So, basically, what do we need to do is to prepare our children. Now, I will not touch the computational thinking curriculum here, but just to give you some idea, because I'm sure you do a number of similar examples. like that. So now I will just take this as an activity with you, that how many, we are 52 teachers, right?
Yes.
So how many teachers, okay, because Saish and me are S, okay? So we know that there are at least 2 people with S. So do you have a whiteboard or a blackboard there? Something?
Yes, we have a whiteboard.
Okay, so can we have a teacher volunteer who can put that, with the alphabet A, how many names do we have? B, how many names? Is there any teacher volunteer who would like to do that?
Any volunteers? Whiteboard.
Just, it's a simple activity, just counting how many, yeah.
Yeah, please, teachers.
And all of us know our alphabet from A to Z, right?
Yeah, somebody please come to the board. Anyone?
Yeah, come to the board and then, okay, in the meanwhile, can we count the number of teachers whose name begins with A? Do we have any teachers with A? Anybody whose name begins with A?
No, we have to have the volunteer, otherwise you realize that nobody will
You
write.
have to tell the volunteer, please tell your name, because I don't know anybody's names there. I'm sure all of you know each other's names, right? You guys have been together for a week. So who are the names that start with A?
Okay, we have the volunteer.
Do we have an Anil? Huh? You can start with A, then go to B. Anybody with B? C. Who's counting the number of hands that go up? Because for me it's in the dark, I can't see. Yeah, now I can see. Okay, how many hands went up with names starting with an A? I can see only his front 2 teachers. And back to back, one more, 3. How many A's? 3 A's. How many B's? B? No one? C? Nobody. Okay, put 0, huh? D? Anybody with D? What is the name of the volunteer teachers? What are your names?
I'm Sonal and she's Ishwari.
Sonal and Ishwari. Yeah, great. So Sonal, wherever there is, you put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K up to Z, and wherever whatever number we get, yes. Okay, and put the number next to it. Yeah. Okay. Just finish till Z. You can conduct the activity. Yeah.
G. Don't. H. 0. I. 2. Ashley sir, your name starts with? Okay, next. E is there? No, Elizabeth. Teacher. आणि कोणाचं आता सांगा. J. 1, 2. K. 2, 3. L. Leela teacher. 6, 7, 8. Why 9? R. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Which alphabet are we on? I can't.
S. We are on S now.
S. Okay. I can't feel it.
7, 8, 9, 10,
Now third also.
17.
Last
What's the size? Straight. Yeah. Count for us. 1, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
14, 15.
16. 16.
Teacher 70. Madam 70.
No, 16. T.
T.
One.
Only one.
U.
One.
1.
B.
B.
1, 2.
1, 2. W. X. Y.
Okay, it's done.
Done? Great. Okay. So, can you total? Sonal, can you total how many you got?
Fifty-six.
56. Okay. So now the most important thing is that the approach that Sonal and Ishwari used was systematic, right? So it is called systematic listing, counting and reasoning, right? So Sonal, can you tell me which alphabet do you have the largest number of teachers?
S.
S, right? Sonal is also S, of course. We have to be the winners. Anyway, so also when you do that, there is a lot of excitement among students also, right? Because also when they raise their hands, you count systematically, then you do the total, right? We have to make sure that obviously, I think Sonal has added me, so there should be 55 people in the hall plus me, right? So when we check, we can make sure that we have counted every participant in the training program. So how do we make sure everyone is counted? How do we systematically list? See, the other way of doing it is just say, hey, how many of your names starts with S? Then say, hey, how many of your names start with V? You know, in a random fashion. But when we do a systematic listing, we can also look at it and say which alphabet has the highest number of names. You can do all sorts of analysis based on it, right? Okay, so this was just a demonstration of one of the activities that we have. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Okay, one second. Now?
Yeah, yes, we can see it.
Yeah, you can see.
You can make it full screen.
Yeah, just make it Got it?
Yes.
So these are different activities that you can do. Right now, we will not be spending so much time, but you know how many different pairs of numbers you can give. We use sum is 10, right? So how do you know you have counted them all, right? So this is how we look at counting combinations, and all of this I'm sure you will use when you're doing coding, right? The number of possible routes from one location on a map to another, right? Now, I don't know where exactly is your training program being held, but I'm sure from home, Saish would have told you that today the morning the session is beginning at 10 o'clock. So you will leave home, trying to finish everything that you have to finish at home and say, hey, what is the shortest path that I can take so that I reach the training program on time? Because you'll have multiple ways to come to the venue, right? We all do that, okay? Now, what are the different words that can be made using 5 letters? Different games that we have also, all of us have played even during our childhood, okay? Now, this is just a screenshot of how the curriculum looks. We won't get into that. But okay, coming to the definition of computational thinking, that is exactly what I was telling you. Computational thinking is the process of formulating a problem, finding a solution to the problem and expressing it in such a way that humans or machines can understand the solution This is what Janet Wing gave us. But exactly what you said, right? That we write out the solution in such a way that we can use this solution and use a programming language so that we can convert it into a program. And coming to one of the most important things is that today computational thinking is a fundamental skill for everyone. It's not that just because some students from the classes that you teach will become computer scientists. It is so, you must have heard of CS for all, right? Computer Science for All is a very strong program running. Now, this is a brief about CS Pathshala, but I'm sure Saish has already introduced, so I will skip it. Okay, this is how CS Pathshala curriculum is implemented. Okay, my favorite activity. So all that I want you to do is now, I was expecting that Saish would send you for chai after an hour, right? So my algorithm would have happened before you go for chai. But what I would like all of you to do is, I will give you 2 or 3 minutes. I would like you to write the steps to make 1 cup of tea, just 1 cup of tea, okay? And then, so in my screen it says 10:57. So maybe you take about 3 to 4 minutes, and at 11:01 we can connect. And I would like a couple of teachers to share their steps of making 1 cup of tea, okay? Is that okay? So all of you understood, right? I want you to write just the steps of making 1 cup of tea. Okay? So just take 2 or 3 minutes and I will connect. Okay? And please write it. I'm sure everybody knows how to make chai, right? सब चाय बनाते हैं ना? All of you make chai, right? So please write that. Checking. बन गई चाय?
मुंगेशा मसाला बरोबर ऍड करता.
Okay, we have the teacher I can see in the front row, right? In the front row. Can you tell us how to make? What's your name? Manjusha. Huh?
Off.
So are you going to tell us how do you make a cup of tea? Manjusha?
Yeah.
Tell sir to do it. Tell him to do it. Tell us. He's going to tell us. Manjusha, you tell me after he finishes. Tell him. First he should tell us.
Whatever I have done.
No, tell the teacher sitting next to you to tell us. He should tell us. How to make a cup of tea. Not from her book, not from her book. Your way of making a cup of tea. Not from her book. No, that's not her. See, listen to me. However you make it, I have no problem.
Take 3/4 cup milk, 1/4 cup water, 3/4 teaspoon tea powder, 1.5
Put how
teaspoon
much tea
sugar.
powder? Sorry.
3/4 teaspoon.
Okay.
1.5 teaspoon sugar.
Okay. Very good.
Add all together and boil it for not more than 8 to 10 minutes.
See, I'll tell you. That's why I said that. Write the steps. Okay, right. Very good. All right. Manjusha, you want to tell us?
Yeah, my steps. Take
Yeah.
1 utensil and take half cup of water in it. Add 2 teaspoons of sugar and keep it on the gas. Light the gas with lighter. When the water starts boiling, add 1 teaspoon of tea powder and boil for 2 more minutes. After 2 minutes, add half cup of milk into the utensil. Pour the tea into a cup while filtering it with filter.
Okay. Great. Anybody else? Very good, Manjusha. Anybody else?
250 ml cup.
One minute, I can't hear you very clearly. Come again.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, 250 ml cup.
Yes.
Then half of that 250 ml is milk and half
Okay.
is water. Then 2
Okay.
tablespoons of sugar. Half teaspoon of tea powder.
Okay.
Boil for 2 to 3 minutes and strain.
Okay. ठीक है. Anybody else? ये सबको चाय बनाने आती है, right? Come on. Yes, sir. You tell us how you make chai. Afterwards, pass the mic to him also, okay?
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Take half cup of water in a container. Put on the stove. Place the container on the stove. Let it boil for some time. Put 1 tablespoon of tea powder. Put 1.5 tablespoon of sugar. Put half cup of hot milk, and then tea is ready. You can serve it hot.
Add 1.25 cup of water to an empty vessel. Turn on the flame. Let it boil for a minute. Add 1 teaspoon of tea powder. Add 2 teaspoons of sugar. Add some flavored masala as per requirement like elaichi, lemongrass. Let it boil for another 2 minutes. Turn off the flame.
Everybody is readily passing the mic. Yes, tell us. I can't hear you.
Hello. Take a utensil and add 1 cup of water. Add milk in it. Light the gas stove and keep the bound. Then add 2 spoons of sugar and 1 spoon of tea powder. Allow the bowl to boil. Wait for
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes. Then strain the tea in the cup.
Okay. All right. So, very quickly, what I wanted to all of you to appreciate is that even though it is a simple problem, right? It is just making 1 cup of tea. Everybody makes their cup of chai the way they like it, right? Doesn't mean any of the solutions are wrong. Does anybody add adrak or does anybody add pudina or elaichi? You know, people like their chai differently, right? So, what I also want you to understand is that even when you are giving a coding problem to your students, right? Students will come up with different solutions to the same problem. So, as teachers, we should allow them to explore different algorithms to find the solution and then help them understand, you know, what is an efficient algorithm. I'm sure you do that, right? Maybe Saish can help me here.
So we don't specifically talk about algorithms yet.
Okay. But as you go along, right, when we are taking children to programming, obviously when we are asking them even to code, they will code, each one develops a style of coding, right? They will use loops, they will use conditionals, they will use everything, right? So as we go along, this is what we need to teach our children, that when you give them even a problem for coding, right? Children should be able to explore what are the different solutions and take a solution that is appropriate, right? Everybody with me here?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? I'm okay to take as many questions as you have. It's important that if you have a question, you can stop me and ask, okay? Okay. So another thing is that what do we do at CS Pachala? We do these sort of different teachers capacity building training programs so that teachers understand how they can work with students to develop the ability to solve problems, explore multiple solutions to solve problems. And another thing I'll tell you that a lot of these activities we conduct hands-on. They use art and craft. So even coming to Baber Stars, I remember that when we were doing an activity with the Directorate of Higher Education in Goa, and they were having their Diwali camp last year during, this was just after COVID. So we had trained some of the volunteers from Goa, and what they had done was they had taken the Baber Stars and there was a scratch art paper activity. I don't know if it will come up in the examples that I take, but then the children had actually taken paper, colored it, used art and craft to even solve the Weber's task. Okay. Now, encouraging them to understand what computational thinking knowledge that is being imparted to children, problem solving and logical reasoning. The whole key to the matter is even when you are teaching coding, you could be teaching any subject, right? That we follow a systematic approach so that all our students understand what we are teaching. Then creativity and local adaptation of content, right? Now you are based in Goa, right? You will have a wide number of examples that we don't have in Maharashtra. So a lot of teachers take the examples and localize it based on the local context. Now the picture that I'm showing you is of an Andhra Pradesh social welfare school where the teachers teaching them counting combinations. So what they did was they took craft paper and first made the blocks, and then they're playing with the blocks to show what are the different combinations that they can do. And why I'm showing you this example is that even when in coding, when you have got these examples, we do something first which is simple, right? So we just say, hey, make all the combinations that you can. You can even write a program to do this. And then we add conditionals, right? So in conditionals, I will say, oh, pink and yellow cannot come together, or white and pink cannot come together, right? That is how you also increase the complexity of the program. All of you are computer teachers, right? I'm sure all of you have done quite a bit of programming in your tenure. And another most important thing is designing questions, right? Most of the students know that we generally ask them questions, right? They don't ask us questions. So, enabling them to ask questions, okay? This is just a screenshot of some of our Zilla Parishad schools, and this was when they were, conducting the CS Pachala activities during COVID. So that's why you can see the masks and all. Coming to the Weber's Challenge, that we've been running the Weber's Challenge since 2018, and the idea of running the Weber's Challenge is basically to get students excited about computing, right? Otherwise, it's just all children like challenges, right? So there are simple Weber's tasks. I will walk you through some of them. And last year 3 million students took the challenge across 46 countries. And since 2018, since when we are conducting it in India, more than 500,000 students have participated in the Weber's India Challenge across 20 states. And last year, I think we had 40 plus schools, I think, if I remember right, from Goa itself, and we had some national rank holders too, right? So I'm hoping, obviously, this year that the numbers will be much higher, and we will be able to reach out to more children. Okay. Now this is a very popular activity of CS Pachala called Sudoku, right? So generally, I don't know how many of you solve Sudoku, but it's in the newspaper every day. This is how teachers have creatively solved Sudoku. So this particular example, this one which you can see a 4x4 Sudoku, I would like to explain to you that when the children come to social welfare schools, they generally come in the 5th standard. And if they are from the tribal belt, they don't even speak Telugu. So they even lack basic counting skills. So when the children came to school, the teacher used the local fruits, because their language is not, it doesn't matter, right? We can take 4 things that all of us know and play Sudoku. And then, it helped them overcome their fear to math also. They didn't have to worry about numbers. And believe me, they did this activity. The next day, all the children solved the 4x4 Sudoku with numbers, moved on to 6x6 after that. Yeah. Now, this is what I was telling you about counting combinations. This is how they do it. This is a 6x6 Sudoku, and because it's a residential school, whatever was available in the canteen, they use that. And they will all do it on the floor. And you can see these are floor types there. This is how they do patterns. This is shortest path. I'm sure all of you are from computer science, so you understand graph paths. This is algorithms in sorting numbers. Okay. Now, I will just take a couple of minutes to show you what is computational thinking. I've already covered it, but this is the lesson that is on computational thinking in CS Pathshala content. If you would like, you can go to the CS Pathshala website and download it, and you can go through the lesson at your own pace if you want. Use it in your classroom. We are happy whatever you want to use it. Okay. So basically, what does computational thinking do? Right? It helps us to solve problems. How? By breaking them into smaller pieces, by using what we already know, by recognizing what is common between problems, and by creating a step-by-step solution that can solve many problems. So exactly what happened when I was trying to connect online, right? I could hear Saish, later on Saish could not hear me. What did we do? We broke the problem into smaller parts. I decided to solve the problem in Pune, and Saish solved the problem in Goa, right? Then, by using what we already know, the first thing what did I do? I went and checked if the volume of my laptop was muted, right? We use facts that we already know, and I'm sure Saish would have tested it before he was going to connect us on, and he knew exactly where to look for, what could have gone wrong. Okay? By recognizing what is common between problems, so many times we have a new problem, but we know we have solved something similar earlier, this will work. And then by creating a step-by-step solution that can be used to solve many problems. Now, because this is a lesson that is used in the classroom, so just to show you that there are 4 pillars of computational thinking: decomposition, patterns, abstraction, and algorithm. So the first one is decomposition. Now, what is decomposition? I don't know, did you get cake with your chai? Saish, did they get cake today in the morning?
No, not yet. No.
Not yet. Okay, no. Alright. So, since you're all in person, I'm sure with your chai you get a cookie or a biscuit or whatever. What do? We break it into smaller pieces and eat it, right? So, in the same way, what do you do with a problem which is too big to handle? You break it into smaller pieces and try to solve a problem and solve one piece at a time. Okay, that is, we decompose the problem. This is something so common, right? This is an example of an airplane, but growing up, all of us have solved puzzles, right? My brother and I used to be really excited about solving puzzles. So we would start with a 200-piece puzzle, move on to a 500-piece, and then the puzzle pieces would be all over the place, and my mother would be like, can you just, and we were like, fix, you've done this part, we have sorted it. We obviously did not know the word sorting and decomposition then, but we would put the pieces which showed the tree together, the color of the sky together, the color of the water together. So basically what were we doing? We were decomposing the problem, right? And solving it in smaller parts. So even when any of you solve the problem, first what do? We look for the pieces which make the border of the puzzle, and then we start making it in parts, right? And suddenly, when nearly the 3/4 of the puzzle is ready, suddenly all the other pieces start fitting in, right? But you cannot directly solve a 500-piece puzzle. You have to break it up into smaller parts. Now, breaking down problems into smaller parts, simple thing, directions to come to the venue, right? I'm sure Saish gave, or you are already familiar with Goa, so you knew how to come there. But if I was to come there in person, then Saish should have told me, yes, Sonia, you come to the airport and this is where we are, these are the landmarks that you will see. Okay? Now, another thing, planning to make the school green, arranging for a birthday party or a wedding. Forget arranging for a birthday party or a wedding. Saish has arranged for a 2 weeks training program, right? So he had to break it up into day by day, make a timetable, a session plan for each day. Who is the person who will be taking it? What is the content he will be taking, right? Similarly, monthly newspaper, magazines, playing Sudoku, all of that are examples of decomposition. So, Saish, do you want the teachers to take a break for 5 minutes or
So the idea of Sonia was to get on to Webra's tasks as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So that we could.
Yeah. So I'm going to get on to that.
Yeah.
So, do you want a break or we try to
We could go
continue?
ahead. We could go ahead.
Okay. Because you already have chat, right?
Yeah.
So, why I'm covering these is because these are the principles that we will cover in Weber's class. Now coming to patterns, I'm sure all of you know, so I will not spend time in getting into patterns, but these are the kind of patterns that you normally see, right? Days of the week, you know it's Monday today, tomorrow is Tuesday, yesterday was Sunday, and you guys are at the beach all the time, so you know the times, the sunrise and sunset times, okay? Multiplication table as a repetitive addition. We don't have language teachers, so but this is another common example. This is important for us because even when you are solving Weber's task or when you are doing coding, right? So what do? We do data analysis, right? So making sense of data by organizing it, finding patterns and depicting in graphs, charts. Okay, you'll probably use it in Excel, in other things as well. Right? Coming to abstraction, very important because this is a concept that is used in programming all the time. And one of the most common examples that I take for abstraction is solving a word problem. Okay? So there are 42,306 trees. Of these, 23,479 are teak trees, 16,675 are subul trees. How many other trees in the forest? Okay? Now, I will just very quickly show you the solution because I don't want you to spend time doing addition and subtraction. Okay? It's the solution. So what do we normally do? We see what is asked, then what is the information that is given. Okay? Now, what will we do? We'll add the teak trees and the subabal trees together. We'll get the answer and then we will subtract. Right? Now, does it matter that these were trees in the forest? If you get a similar problem as cars sold or any other, if like Sai said, each one of you has a laptop. Supposing there is a school that has to buy like so many laptops, so many mouse, all of that, whatever you need, wherever there is basic addition, subtraction, right? So it doesn't matter what we are doing. You know the principles, you know the solution is using basic addition and subtraction in this particular word problem. But that is how abstraction is used and this is how you use it in coding, right? And then the input to the program keeps changing, right? The numbers keep changing. Now supposing you write a program to do something like this, right? I can put in any number I want. And then you will tell me what is the number of other trees in the forest, okay? So this is abstraction. Now, this is the most important one. That is why I had done algorithms with you first. So, that's how we just do it so that we use simple English instructions and then come to actually what you do, right? Now, supposing I say find a secret number in 1 to 1000. Recipe how to make Maggi or this thing, steps to go. Now, a simple thing is algorithmic thinking. If I have to tell one of you to get up and go out of the door, right? You can do this when you are you have time in the training program. Writing the steps for long division. If you give that as a coding assignment to your children, right? Because you are teaching 5th to 10th standard. Factorization. All of these are examples of algorithms which you can. Once the children write it as an algorithm, you can convert to any program. Okay. Now we will put all of this to use, and I will walk you through a couple of Weber's classes. Now when I'm going to walk you through the Beveridge task also, the whole idea is, I think only 2 teachers is what Sai said have conducted the Beveridge challenge in their school, right? So this was just one Beveridge practice challenge that I have created. Now coming to what is Beveridge challenge, right? So I told you earlier when we did this particular example, we've already done it, that you were able to solve it without having any prerequisite knowledge of computational thinking, and solution is also logical. There is no problem. Okay? Now, as I will walk you through a couple of more tasks that you can solve, okay, slowly I will increase the complexity. It's not much complex, but okay, and you will be able to use different principles to solve it. Okay? So, you want me to read the task, or is one of the teachers volunteer going to read the task? And then you can tell me the answer. I'm sure you all know Simon Says, right? So here is a simple push square game. The colors rotate every time the center button is pressed, right? So you start here, after one press, blue goes from here to here, okay? Now if you push the button one more time, where will it go? B. Huh? B. Everybody agrees to B?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you say it was B? How did you decide?
Blue color.
Huh?
We started with blue color. We saw
You started with the blue color, yes.
We saw the placement of blue color in the fourth picture.
Okay, so you followed the arrows, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah? Okay, great. This is what I was telling you about the scratch art game, and that is what these people, I'll try and see if I can find that in what the Goa students did. But anyway, so this is the scratch art paper. So with scratch art paper, you can easily draw colorful pictures by using a wooden stick. You remove the top coating and the colorful background becomes visible. So at the beginning, the scratch art paper is fully coated black. Behind the black coating, these 4 colors are hidden: red, blue, green and yellow. By using the wooden stick, you remove the top coating and then you can see the colors behind. So depending on which part did this stick move in, so this square was blue, this part was red, this was yellow. So which of the 4 pictures exactly 3 colors show up while drawing? Which one? C. Which one did you say? I can't hear you. C? Everybody says C? So, anybody who thought of any other answer, I'm sure when you look at this picture it is clear, right? So when we look at the first picture, all 4 colors are visible. When you look at the arrow, you can see red and blue. When you look at C, it's red, yellow and green. And when we look at the 4th one, it was all colors. Right? Everybody with me till here?
Yes.
Are they easy to solve?
Yes.
So as teachers, do you think it will excite students?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Alright. Okay. So fish bowl. Okay. Now another thing I want to tell you that these are tasks that are created by scientists across the world. So what we do is we also localize the task. So their task may say John or Tim or somebody. So for India, we also localize the task. So Jayesh wanted to buy a fish bowl having goldfish, angelfish, betta, tetra and guppy. Okay? Now he visited a pet shop and learned that all the fish that he wanted were not friends with each other, and fish that are not friends with each other cannot live together in the same boat. Okay, now what did he learn? He learned that angelfish is friends with betta and tetra. Guppy and tetra are friends with betta. Goldfish is friends with betta and guppy. So if two fish of the same kind are kept in a bowl, only two angels, goldfish, guppies and tetras can be friends with each other. So which fish bowl can Jayesh take home?
We'll have to make the question A, B, C, D little bigger because it's too small for us. Zoom the slide, I guess.
In 1 minute. Let me come out of the slideshow. Is it better?
Little more, I guess. You can see.
But we need to know the reference.
You can see.
Can you see?
They want to go back to the earlier
Okay, 1 second.
slideshow, yes.
So somebody needs to take notes on which are the ones can be friends. Okay, so angelfish is this one, is friends with betta and tetra. So these three can stay together, right? Okay. Now guppy and tetra are friends with betta. So guppy and tetra are friends with betta. Then goldfish is friends with betta and guppy. So if two fish of the same kind are kept in a bowl, only two angels, goldfish, guppies and tetras can be friends with each other. Okay, so which fish bowl can Jayesh take home? Second, B. Okay, we'll see the answer, doesn't matter. Okay, now option A is incorrect because angelfish and goldfish are not friends with each other. You know what I'll do? I'll come to the slideshow and I will show you again and then you'll understand. Give me a second. So, he can't take A home because okay? He can't take A home because angelfish and goldfish are not friends with each other. So who are angelfish and goldfish? Angelfish and goldfish are not friends, and here we have angelfish and goldfish in it. Right? So A is out. Now B is incorrect because goldfish is not friends with betta. So you have to check. Right? So goldfish is friends with who are it? Betta and guppy. Right? So, here, that's what I was telling you, that as we go along, the complexity of the task increases, and all these tasks are available on Davis.in in the booklet form. I will show you. But what I also wanted to show you these tasks is so that you appreciate that we have to consider and or conditionals and then decide what is the right answer. Get it? So I can even share this PowerPoint presentation with Saish, and he can give it to you and you can sit and solve all the tasks, no worries at all. Okay? Now, option D. What is the problem with option D? 2 beta cannot be together and Angel is not friends with Guppy. So Angel is friends only with beta and tetra. And here Guppy is with him in the fishbowl, so he cannot take. The only one that meets the condition is C. We have 2 tetra, 1 Guppy and 1 beta. All are friends with each other, and as per rules, 2 tetras can live together. The option satisfies all the conditions. So that is why I had done the earlier task with you, that children start understanding conditionals, right? So this is how they learn. Okay? Now this is another one. This is very simple. Here are 5 statements. 1 minute. Just move. Give me a second. Can you see now? So there are 3 robots, Nina, Meena and Tina. Okay. Now there are 5 statements that describe the 3 robots. Tina and Meena are smiling. Are they smiling? Yes? Okay. Now Tina, Meena and Leena each have 2 legs. Is it right or wrong? No. True or false? No? False. Okay. Meena has a round head and Leena has 2 legs. True or false? False. False? Yes. Okay. All 3 robots have 5 fingers. False. Okay. Leena or Tina have their hands raised. True. No, Leena or Tina, it's not and. It's or. Right? Did you understand? The 5th one was or, it was not an and. Right? So, what is the correct answer? 1 and 5, Saish said. Right? So, what is the path to solving this task? You have to evaluate all the statements and decide if they are true and false. Take into account the meaning of and or. See, and we are teaching children who are 5th to 10th standard, right? So, when we are teaching them conditionals and coding, we teach them and or. If A is greater than 5 and less than 10, right? Simple conditionals for and or we use, right? And then you find the correct answer. Did everybody get it? Yes. Everybody with me on this task? Yes. And what ends up happening is that, I'm sure all of you, I also learned truth tables when I was in college, right? But nobody taught me a truth table using these sort of games. So what ended up happening? We ended up doing rote learning. Whereas when you use various tasks like this, if children have fun, right? And I'll tell you what teachers do. Bring 3 students in front of the class. Okay? And make them enact. So there is visualization. Children can see and understand what's happening. And then they understand and all really clearly. So I will give you an example of and all, which is very, very simple. So let me stop sharing screen for a minute, because then I want this confusion to Okay, so I don't know if Saish is serving ice cream, okay? I have no idea. But I'm just assuming. So I want to ask you, if you like vanilla ice cream, raise your hands. If you like vanilla ice cream, raise your hand. Do you like vanilla ice cream? How many hands went up? I don't know. Huh? How many?
9. 10.
Only 9 out of the 56, right? Okay. So, how many of you like chocolate ice cream? Chocolate?
Nine.
9. Okay, 9. Now, if you like vanilla or chocolate ice cream, raise your hand. Vanilla or chocolate ice cream, not and. Vanilla or. So we should get more, right? Because you raise your hand if you like vanilla or you like chocolate. So how many hands go up? 18. I like both, so my hand goes up. All those who either raise their hands for vanilla or chocolate, please raise your hand. You like either or, कोई भी ice cream चलेगा, vanilla आने दो, chocolate आने दो. How many hands? How many hands went up? How many? That means Saish is safe. He doesn't have to order any ice cream today. है ना? So what I want you to do is count the number of hands raised for chocolate or vanilla, and then check how many of them like vanilla and chocolate. That was exactly what we were doing in the Baby's task. You got it? I was not doing anything else. And this is also another activity in the CS Pathshala lesson, and that is how we teach children conditionals. Right? So that it is not so abstract as we are teaching in coding. First they understand, they appreciate what is the difference between an AND condition and an OR condition, and then they go ahead to other things. Okay? Everybody with me till here? Hey, if you don't understand, tell me, okay? There's no problem, I can always go back.
So yeah, are you doing some treasure kind of a thing? Are you prepared for that or?
No, I'm not sharing a treasure hunt because it's difficult to do it like this.
Okay.
That's why I did a continuous thing.
Okay.
Okay? You have chocolates for the winners of the treasure hunt? I can share one link with you maybe for the afternoon session. You can do it amongst yourselves. Right now, I thought I'll walk them through some different tasks so that they understand how to solve. Right? They shouldn't get confused. Okay. So anyway, let's do this. Because there is actually we have a Google Forms which is a pre-and a post assessment. But I don't want to get into that with you. I'd rather you guys have fun. Okay? Now, can you see the slide clearly? Yes? So Sonia plays ring toss. She throws the rings around the pole. Every ring that successfully lands around the pole scores points. Any ring that misses the pole wins no points. So first throw I get 5 points, second throw I get 4, third throw I get 3, fourth row I get 2, and fifth row I get 1. So if I've thrown 5 rings as shown, how many points did I get? Can anybody tell me? What is the answer?
6.
D7.
D is the answer.
D7.
अरे आपको कैसे पता था B is the answer? सही अच्छा हुआ गूगल फॉर्म नहीं शेयर किया तो सब फुल पॉइंट्स मिलेंगे Okay, so obviously you check that the first row did not go into the fourth, so I did not get. The second toss was blue, we got 4 points. Third toss went out again. And the fourth toss went in, so we got 2, and 4 plus 2 is 6. Very good. So I have couple of more tasks which I can just give. I can share this presentation with Saish, and you can solve it in the afternoon. Basically, what I wanted you to understand was what is the Weber's task, how does Weber's task help children develop problems. Okay, you tell me, you solved 5 or 6 of the Weber's task. What did you learn? What did you learn? Whatever you learn doesn't matter, you have to speak. But did we learn anything? Okay, let me put it straight away. Did we learn anything?
Yes.
Logical thinking, okay?
The way to arrive at a solution.
Anything else? Yes? What else did you learn?
Some way to arrive at the solution.
Some ways to arrive. Correct. So, you explore different ways to arrive at the solution. Very good. What else?
We tested some conditions also.
You tested some conditions. Yes. We tested some conditions.
In a way, we learn something. In a way, we learn something that we will apply for our future use.
We learned?
We have learned something that we will use for our future use to solve the Weber's tasks.
Correct. Okay. So you have learned something which you can, that solution you will
apply that knowledge
use to solve other similar problems. Correct. Okay, all of you have been teaching coding in the classroom?
Yes.
Some programming?
Yes.
Some programming, right? Now, I want to understand from you is that how do you teach programming? What do you teach in programming? How do you teach that? You say, okay, write a program to do this. What is the approach you use in the classroom? Supposing I am the student, I have come to your class for the first time, right? How will you teach me? Anybody? I don't know programming. You please assume I don't know programming.
We tell the child the basic thing first, ma'am.
What are the basic things?
We just set the induction first, introduction of the topic, or give the basic idea first for a child, and then slowly put up how we are going to go to the goal. Means if the task is there, if any program is there to be done, then how that it will be implemented.
No, so do you give me the code or do you expect me to write it?
The code is not given. First,
The code is not given.
no. Let the child
I'm supposed to write it.
the child going to think on it, and then we will correct. If he is going anywhere wrong, then the teacher will correct the child. So the things is coming from the child first.
Correct. So, yeah. So, correct. So, I'm the student. I will write some code. Then I will come back to you, and then the teacher will check if the code is correct. Right? There may be some syntax errors. There may be some errors, and then you will help me fix them. Right?
Yeah, to
You
get
help
the
me
goal.
correct them.
Correct.
Huh?
Yes, to get the correct goal. But the task to be
The correct
completed.
goal.
Yes.
So I can do it directly on the computer, or do I have to write it?
First we put up on the paper. If any program is there.
First you do it on the paper. Correct.
And
Correct.
then
So first when you do it on paper,
and then put up the code or the syntax on the computer.
correct. So So when you are telling me to write the code on paper, right?
Yes.
When I write the code on paper, it is as good as me writing the steps to solve the problem for which you have told me to write the program, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So do children come up with different solutions to the same problem, or they are pretty much the same?
No, different. Because all the child's their thinking level is different, so it
Okay.
is completely different.
Completely different. Okay, so that means you already have, and you as teachers are very nice and good teachers because you allow children to explore different solutions to solve the same problem, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Anna? Good. Any other experience you want to share, or you want to tell me how you think what we did in today's session, you can take something to the classroom? Is there anything that you think we did in the morning session, or when you solved the Weber's task? Do you think there is anything that you can take back to the classroom which will help improve your teaching practices?
There was one activity conducted at district level in your presentation. That was arranging of blocks, pink and
Yes.
white. During our day 1 session, Sir Anna had conducted values and its expressions. That matched with this thing, that example.
Correct.
For example, 4 can be written using 2 plus 2. Also, 4 can be written as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Also, 8 by 2, 8 divided by 2. So that matched the way we express our values in the form of its expression. That matched with the arrangement of those blocks. Different ways of arranging the blocks.
Correct. Yes. So I love the example you shared because that exactly shows that you explore different mathematical operators to arrive at that answer, correct?
Yeah.
1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 also
Yes.
4. 8 divided by 4. Right?
Yes.
Very good. Excellent. Anybody else wants to share something? Because then we can add on to what you are learning and integrate, right? I'm sure in the last 5 days you learned a lot. So maybe you can share something that you learned.
Maybe Mayur can share his experience about Webras.
Yes.
Yes, of course, we have 2 teachers who conducted, no?
While conducting Weber's challenge, I used to solve problems with students.
Mayur, stand where Saish was talking because when Saish talks, I can hear extremely clearly. You are from where you are talking, it's slightly muffled or soft, I don't know.
While I was conducting Weber's challenge with students, I tried it with primary students also, 3rd and 4th standard.
Okay.
They were more excited to solve that problem because it was designed in a graphical manner so that they will watch the pictures and they will solve it using pen and to arrive the solution.
Correct.
In that, one of our students, Mr. Dhruv Winner, got third place in national level.
Very good. So, what was the feeling when he found out that he is national rank?
Actually, he was shocked because I used to he took Marathi language to solve the.
Yeah, I saw.
And that was the best part. That since our students are multilingual, means some like to write means answer in Hindi, some like to answer in English or Marathi. So they were
Correct.
comfortable to read and answer. But with
Exactly.
Dhruv was not able to read also, but I used to sit there and read out the question, and he used to understand the question and then tell me the solution. So even though he was not able to read the question, I used to just
He knew how to solve it once you read it, right?
yeah. That was
Yes.
the best part. He used to use his logic. Only problem he had was the reading the question because the question was too big.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, I think another important point that you made was, so when the Fabris challenge opens also, all the language is opening, right? So, whichever language the child is comfortable in, even though the child is going to an English medium school, there is no problem. The same task is translated into Marathi, into Hindi, into Telugu, into Tamil, into Kannada, into Odia. And there are a lot of teachers who have, especially like schools in Maharashtra, they say, even though the students are in English medium schools, they are more comfortable solving it in Marathi. It does not matter, right? The whole idea and what Mayur made a point was very important, that the child should be able to comprehend the question, right? And another key thing is visualization. So I will also walk you through the Fabris website, because all the previous year's booklets are uploaded there. You all can download the Fabris booklet, and I want to also show you, because see, right now when I took the slide, I just showed you the explanation. That explanation was enough only to solve the task. I want all of you as teachers to appreciate that all of these tasks have very good visualization, and secondly, a strong linkage to computational thinking. Okay, so I will walk you through that. Thank you so much, Mayur. Anything else you want to share? Did you enjoy conducting it? Let me ask you that.
Yes. I utilize my computer lectures to explain them the problem. Sir had shared me one PDF, and I utilize all the computer lectures in explaining that only to the students.
Okay, so another thing, Mayur, I want to ask you that when you took those tasks, right? It didn't matter that children are not aware of the 4 pillars of computational thinking. It doesn't matter at all. Basically, what matters is children should have fun during learning and they should get excited, right? And that is why Fabris challenge is a challenge, it is not a competition, because the whole purpose of Fabris challenge is to reach out to the unreached students and give every child an opportunity to participate. And I am sure Mayur have seen the certificates also. So every child who participates in the challenge gets a certificate. See, at the end of the day, and another thing that I would like to tell the teachers, Saish of course is aware of it, that every challenge starts with a bonus score of 30 marks. Okay? So no child gets negative mark. If that child goes and manages to put everything wrong, okay, because there are 3 groups, A group, B group and C group. So A group is easy level difficult, easy level problems. B group is medium level and C is high difficulty. For A group, there is no negative marking. For B and C, there is negative marking. So even if the child goes and makes everything wrong, the child still does not get negative marks, because we do not want any child to get discouraged. Okay? And every child gets a national rank, because that shows that so many children in that particular group participated in the challenge, and that is where I stand. It really, I have visited so many schools and I have seen the child, getting so excited that I have a rank, right? So the whole idea is they all get a school rank. There's a best in school, so that And another thing that I would like to share with all of you from other schools, they tell us, and I don't know, Mayur should tell me if that is true amongst the children that he did the challenge with. The children जो सबसे ज़्यादा मस्ती करते हैं वो सबसे अच्छा Fabris challenge solve.
Right. They were ahead of other poor scholars. And one more thing we can do is like while teaching programming and other things, sometimes it is very means headache to be focused, no? So we can introduce one of the problem from Fabris so that all get active in this Yeah, so it's like stress buster sometimes.
Of course, I completely agree with Mayur, and I also want to ask you. I made you for very few tasks. I don't know how much time we have because I think I ate up into 15-20 minutes of the training program time because we were trying to set it up. So that I checked with Sayesh. But that's why I also took a pause after we solved certain number of tasks because I wanted to understand from you that what did you feel when you were solving the Weber's task? Did you feel, oh my God, now this is another problem Sonia has given?
No. I enjoy solving quiz and these challenges like puzzles and all. So it was good for me, and it was like one of the challenges which I can pass. Means like one of the problem which was having butterfly. Without reading also I can explain that in school, in classes, whichever classes. To engage any class, that are the best examples we have. The butterfly,
Correct.
at every class the butterfly disappears. So in that, half the number of butterflies disappear after every class. So that was
Correct.
so to bring
Very
all the
good.
focus of students, it is better to use this example. There are lots of problems there.
Lots of problems, yes. So I will be solving some more tasks with all of you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and there were two teachers, now there was somebody else also who conducted Weber's task in their school, right?
Anybody else? I think
Yeah, anybody
we
can
can go to problems because we have.
Yeah, I'll go through the problems.
Yeah.
Yes. So you guys are all okay solving more Weber's tasks, right?
Yeah, I think we have still 10 more minutes because I have the next session planned, but we're 10. You can find a bit.
We are time till 10 past 12, yeah?
Yeah, yes.
So we can at least do 3 or 4 more tasks, right? That's what my plan is. Okay. Can you see the task?
Yet to appear.
Okay, so Kittu the Beaver has a, yeah.
Not yet. Now it's now.
Okay. So Kittu the Beaver has a collection of mugs from various cities around the world. She has classified them according to the color. So, Asian red, she has 2 mugs, and Asian yellow, 1, like that. Okay? Her naughty little brother Mangu changed just one of the numbers while Kittu was taking a nap. The result is shown below. That if you look at the table, can you find the numbers that were changed by Mangu and corrected? Okay? If first option is no one can find the change number, she has to classify the mugs again. And the number of yellow mugs from North America should be 1, the number of yellow mugs from Europe should be 0, or the number of green mugs for North America should be 2. Can anybody tell me? Is it C?
C. 6, 7 comes to 7. The answer is shown as 6. Yes. North America.
Okay, you got it? I could see somebody saying North America or something, right? So who wants to tell me the answer? Hey, come on, tell me.
When we add those things,
Like this I can't hear, I can hear only muffled voices.
so when we add those things, that sum comes up to 7 and actually it's shown over there as 6.
I can't hear you very clearly.
Ma'am, when we add those things, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1, it should come to 7.
Okay.
And it's shown as 6 over there.
Which row?
North America.
Third row. Okay. And? Correct, no? This is what you were telling me, right?
Yes.
So, if you add up the number of mugs in the third row, it's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1, which is coming to? 7. Correct, but it's actually 6. Yes? You want to tell me? Manjusha wants to tell me? I only know her name. I know Mayur and just a couple of names. Anyways. Where did Sonal and the other volunteer disappear? Anyways. Okay, so basically, I want to ask all of you, since all of you have done computers, right? You are computer teachers. All of you know parity bit? Do you remember parity bit? We've done it when we learned programming in college. You remember? No, don't remember.
All teachers not from computer science background.
Okay, no worries. But even if you're not from computer science background, okay? So basically what did we need? Only we needed basic addition. So what did we do? Let's do it properly. Let's do the red column, okay? So red column, it is 2 plus 1 is 4. It's correct, right? So there is no mistake in this. Then coming to yellow. 1 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's correct, no problem. Then when we add green, it's 1 plus 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7. But the answer is 6. So there is a problem in this column, okay? So that is why this column is highlighted. Then we go to blue. 4 plus 1 plus 1, 6. No problem, it's correct. Brown, 2 plus 1, 5. It's correct. Then we go row wise, okay? So Asia, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 4 is 7. No problem, correct. Then we look at Europe, 0 plus 1 plus 1. 2 plus 2, 6. Correct. Now when we come to North America, it is 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7. And the problem lies in this row. So we found out that the problem lies in the column with green and the row in North America. So the intersection, okay, we take the intersection and the cell that intersects is where the problem lies. So if you compare the sums that you get and the total numbers shown in the table, you will find that the sums of both North America row and green column is 1 less than the recorded total. Therefore, it should be 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. That is, so the correct answer is D. Got it? Everybody understood?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Now, this is again very simple. Deepa would like to decorate the tables for the anniversary of her parents. There are 5 tables in each row. Okay, she can use either light blue or dark red. So the background is a light blue or a dark red tablecloth and 3 different flower variations. Okay, so she can use these, this or this. She wishes that every kind of flower is used or only one kind of flower is used. So either it should have all the 3 kind of flowers or it should have only one kind. Okay? Tablecloths of the same color should not be on 2 tables next to each other. Right? So 2 light blue tablecloths should not be together. So which one of the above plans should Deepa choose? B. Yes? B? Everybody agrees? Okay. In B, the tablecloth color changes every time, right? And every kind of flower is used. See, if you look at the second condition which is given, right? Tablecloths of the same color should not be on 2 tables next. You can easily eliminate. See, we are all teaching coding, right? We have to teach children elimination. So automatically in this first row, there are 2 blues which are together, here also 2 blues. This row is eliminated. Here, it's not 2. In the last row, it's 2. So 2 rows get eliminated. And then you check for these 2 rows. Correct? Got it? So, in B, the tablecloth color changes every time and every kind of flower is used. In A and D, the restriction for the color of the tablecloth is not fulfilled. We have 2 blue squares in row A and 3 red squares in row D. In C, the restriction on the available flowers is not fulfilled. Either all flowers need to be present or only one, and we instead have 4 yellow flowers, 1 blue and no white. Okay? Okay. This is again patterns again. So Mittu, the Australian chick, is a baby parrot. Each young parrot has 4 colors. So what are the 4 colors? Red, blue, yellow, green. Okay? Each color in a chick must be located in different part of the body as compared to the other chicks. So now they have given you the colors for 3. We have to identify what the 4 colors of the 4th chick should be.
B.
B?
B.
Okay.
B.
Correct. So other combinations of color patterns cannot be right as they do not follow the progressive color pattern of red, blue, green, yellow. Each color fills in only one part of the body of the chick: head, chest, wing and tail. The only right answer can be one of the above, which is B. Got it? Okay. So let me look at a different one since we are running out of time. Okay, let's look at forget that, then it will be a slightly different task. So in the country of beavers, the currency used is beaver coins. Okay, so to very quickly tell you, in Beavers, okay, we have beavers, and the beavers are mischievous and very naughty and they are very good with problem solving. Okay, so in the country of beavers, the currency beaver coin is used. The coins have the following face value. The beavers don't like to carry around too many coins, so they pays it as few coins as possible. With how many coins could you pay 13 beaver coins if you use as few coins as possible? Can somebody tell me? You have to pay 13. So what is the combination we can use? 3. Which are the 3 coins? 8 plus 4 plus 1. Correct. Right? So the optimal and therefore correct solution is to pay with 8, 4 and 1. Right? The sum of the coins is 13. It is not possible to use fewer coins because the coin larger than 8 is 16. Right? We can't use that one. And there is no coin with the value 5. Right? So the next smallest coin is 4, which together makes it 12, and then you need 1, which makes it 13. Right? So to find the right solution, you can also start with any other combination. For instance, you can start with 2 4 beaver coins, 1 2 beaver coin and 1 3. And the next one you can swap 2 coins of the same value and do it, right? Okay. Lunchtime is coming for you also soon, right? And I don't know how many of you have school-going children, but this is a perennial problem that all of us have. I don't know if Saish faces it, but Raju takes 2 lunch boxes to school each day. One for snack and the other for lunch break, right? Now, honestly, in the morning we just have 30 minutes is a lot of time to pack dabbas, right? I hope all of you agree with me. So, all the available items for the boxes and the preparation time for each food need are shown, right? So, rice preparation time takes 15 minutes, poha takes 15 or 20 minutes, sandwich takes 15, then roti and vegetable takes 20, paratha takes 20 and fruit bit takes 10. So if Raju packs roti and vegetable for lunch, he cannot pack a sandwich for his snack because he has maximum 30 minutes. Okay, so you have to tell me which of the following statements is false. If Raju packs paratha for lunch, he can pack only fruit bit for his snack. If Raju packs rice for lunch, he can pack poha for his snack. And if Raju packs rice for lunch, he can pack either a sandwich or fruit bite for snack. Which of the statements are false?
C is false. C.
You can add, and I would request all of you that okay, now we are doing it as part of a training program, but when you are doing it in the classroom, right, ask students to write the time in hand. So, like if I look at it, Raju packs roti vegetable for lunch. Okay, roti and vegetable takes 20 minutes. He cannot pack a sandwich for a snack. How much time does a sandwich take? 15. So 20 plus 15 is 35. I have only 30 minutes. Right? So you should ask children to add also. So what is the answer? C. I can't hear you.
C.
Answer is C.
Yeah, what is the answer?
Rice is 50 and poha is 20.
Manjusha, I can't hear anything.
So that exceeds
B. What is the answer?
So B. So that is B.
C or C?
B.
Which is the right answer?
Who's the word?
This is the right answer. It doesn't calculate over the minute. So you tell me which is the right answer?
So 20 plus 10 is 30. Paratha is 20.
Okay, tell me, is A true? If I make roti vegetable for lunch, I cannot pack sandwich because I am crossing 30 minutes, right? Now, if Raju packs paratha for lunch, so paratha he takes 20 minutes, he can only pack fruit bale, right? So 20 plus 10, 30. Right, it is correct. Now, if Raju packs rice for lunch, rice takes 15 minutes, he can pack poha for his snack. Is it true? False. Then, if Raju packs rice for lunch, he can pack either a sandwich or a fruit bale for his snack. So, rice takes 15 minutes, sandwich takes 15, so that is 30. And he can also take rice and fruit bale. It is 25 minutes. Correct? Right, so the only statement which is false is C. Got it?
There's a time limit for it.
So guys, want me to stop? Yeah. That's all. So I think that's all enough, and I have taken activities from different computational thinking themes. And I would request you to go to bevras.in, that is a website. You can go to the booklets, download the booklet for whichever year you like. And like Mayur was saying, take Bevras activities in the classroom. And you can write into us if you need any other things. And for every task, there is a solution given. So don't worry.
Yeah, so let me formally thank Sonia for conducting a wonderful session on Bevras. I will share with all the teachers the actual PDFs in which the questions and the answers are given. We will do it in the class also because we have one more week. We'll be spending some time. And I'll tell you why the purpose of solving this Bevras little later when we actually solve them in the class. Today what we have just done is understood what Bevras is and just solve them on the board. We will have a session wherein actually you will solve them in the class here with the paper and pen. And that time we'll discuss why we are doing it.